Welcome to the Toy Library Effect podcast, brought to you by Toy Libraries Australia. My name is Penny Johnston and I'm your host for this series of 5 episodes. In this series, we're exploring how toy libraries support children's development, strengthen communities and work alongside families and professionals to make play more accessible. Today, you'll hear what the experience of raising a child with a developmental delay or disability in Australia is really like. The emotional load, the financial strain, the constant juggling, and how access to play can make everyday life feel a little lighter. We'll hear from Karen Dimmock from ACD, advocating for children with disabilities. Speech pathologist and early ed CEO Kerry Dominish from Sydney, Tofu Naitoko from the Springvale Toy Library, and Danni Menzies, a member from Grovedale Toy Library in Victoria. When people think about developmental delay or disability, they often focus on appointments, therapies, and milestones. But behind those visible supports is a reality that many families are navigating every day. Karen explains.
I think it's really, really important to acknowledge this. There is the daily life. There are the extra appointments. There's life admin like you wouldn't imagine. I mean, the paperwork and the online portals and, whether it's for school or the NDIS or other things, medical appointments, that is a lot. Many families raising children with disability do less paid work. And so then there's the sort of compounding cost of living pressures that affect everyone, but can affect these families more. But that emotional side and the other pressures you feel, I think it's really important to talk about. You have this little person that you love, but there's a whole lot wrapped up in that around hope and grief and worry.
So alongside the practical challenges is the ongoing mental load of supporting a child whose needs may change over time. Kerry works with families every day through her early intervention service.
Parents always want to do the absolute best for their child, but when they have a child with a disability, they're thinking about what does my child need and what can I do to support them and who should I see? I see that as being a load that they're carrying, and they carry it for a long time, and it gets exacerbated at different times when they're having to set goals or get funding.
When families are already carrying so much, access to affordable and flexible play can make a real difference. Kerry says toy libraries provide opportunities for both learning and family connection.
Toy libraries create opportunities for families to be able to have lots of choice and lots of opportunities to play with their children and to support their children to learn and develop. It is a great opportunity for the whole family to be able to get more involved in play as a family, but also individually as well.
For Tofu, the value extends far beyond borrowing toys.
In our toy library, we're very flexible in membership fees. If we see a need for that family, if it's something that would help them, we are definitely 100% there for them to lessen that barrier for them. We have families, refugees that have come through and just not knowing whether they can borrow a toy because of the restrictions that they've had in their own journey just getting here. Just having the toy library there, it's open, it's low pressure, it's comfortable for them to be able to see someone, to talk to someone, and we try and lessen that barrier. The toy library does lighten the load. It takes the pressure off financially. Families aren't constantly buying toys that might get used for a short time.
One of the advantages of borrowing is that families can access specialised resources that may otherwise be unaffordable. For Danni's family, that made a significant difference.
Our daughter is medically complex. She was born very prematurely and she has delayed gross motor skills. So our OT and physio gave us some suggestions which we couldn't purchase. They were quite costly and they wouldn't be covered under the NDIS. The things that we needed were these big foam ramps to help practice with crawling and climbing up and pulling things up. And We've borrowed them so many times, and I just feel like that is inclusion in essence, isn't it? That they've listened to the needs of their members and been able to action it because they've got buying power.
And then something happened.
Our daughter, she never crawled, but she would bum shuffle everywhere, and we'd been practicing going up and down steps on all fours. And so we borrowed the foam stairs, and after I think we had it for about a month, she kind of didn't show anything. But then when she realized she could get up, she started going back down, which we had never seen before in therapy. And I think it was because it was in a non-clinical environment. It was home, it was there, it was safe, and she had no pressure to kind of go up and down. She just did it. So that was amazing.
For many families with children with disability or developmental delay, play can start to feel like another item on the to-do list. But toy libraries can help shift the focus back to child-led exploration and enjoyment.
And then the play itself with your children, of course, all children are unique. They all play their own little way, which is so fabulous. But many children with developmental delay need extra support and scaffolding to play, and to play for longer or to play with others. For some children with physical disability, that means literally, you're the one helping to move them around or to bring the toys and the things that they're playing with to them. For other children, playing alongside others is really tricky, and they need an adult they trust and know right there with them to help them interpret and understand what's happening.
Also set up little play areas so children can actually sit and engage with toys, because for some kids, seeing so much choice at once can feel a bit overwhelming. So you'll see some children run straight in and others sort of like hang back and watch for a while and then gradually join in with the guidance of their parents saying, we could try this or we could try that. We learn a lot by watching what they're drawn to and how those changes over time, and that moment when they find something they really connect with and then get to take it home is always pretty special. Everything is open to the child. The child gets to choose. The child is not restricted in a shop where you can't touch this, otherwise we'll have to pay for it. No, this time you're coming to a toy library. It's low pressure. The child actually leads the whole session.
All our guests know that the biggest gains for families often come through simple moments of connection.
Clinicians are often focused on the clinical stuff, but we know that the way that families can really feel socially connected and they can start to engage in their community is by knowing the supports and services that are out there. And toy libraries are just this really welcoming, non-threatening environment that they can go to that they would do if they were a parent that didn't have a child with a disability. And also they're a place that the whole family can be supported. So you can be borrowing toys for the rest of the family as well. And that is a really great way of every member of the family feeling valued and having the opportunity to just partake in the joy of borrowing toys and having something new and fresh to play with.
You're not just going to get toys. You'll see other families, you'll see other children. Where our toy library is located, it's co-located with the maternal health nurse and other community services. So it's a real connection hub for families. It's a really great space to be able to go and explore, not feel overwhelmed or judged. You're just coming as you are and borrowing what you would like that's of interest to the children or you. And I think as well, it's a great peer support network. I've made some great friends over my years during the toy library, and being able to share sort of my journey, their journey, and the shared experiences that we have. That's really important. It supports in so many ways, not just the children, but also the caregivers and the volunteers that are part of, like grandparents that are part of the community too.
Karen is a huge advocate in the importance of toy libraries for children and their families.
One of the key things is that you're feeling connected to others, and toy libraries can be a really important part of that. If you're feeling connected to other families, then that can really help your family as a whole. And so I think for allied health therapists and things to kind of see toy libraries as almost a boost, not just to the child, but to the family as a whole, and that they play a role in helping to connect families just to know what's there locally, when it's on, how to get along, because there's all those things you're learning, isn't there?
For clinicians, educators and community workers, this episode highlights the importance of accessible play in family wellbeing. Toy libraries provide practical, community-based ways to reduce stress, build confidence and support developmental goals outside formal therapy. Thank you to our guests for sharing their experiences. This podcast series was made possible through funding from the Australian Government Department of Health, Disability and Ageing. Thank you for listening.